I've been passionate about architecture for 30 years. But there's this one annoying challenge that always comes up. And it's so consistent and applied to every single project I do, no matter how grand, how prestigious, no matter the culture or industry. The problem is so critical to my success and so predictable, I have to develop a special set of skills just to handle it. I became a detective, an idea detective. I'm not looking for crimes or criminals. I'm just looking for clues, essential pieces of a puzzle about what people really expect in their project. Why? Because most people either don't know what they want or don't know how to express it. Now, have you ever been to a meeting, after half an hour now, you come up and you thought, what did they really want from me? What were the expectations? Do you think that feels familiar? Now let's take the word great. I've got a lot of great requests in my job. Can you do a great design? Yes, of course. How about a great entrance? Definitely. Doing a great space? Fantastic. Can you do the greatest piece of architecture ever? Now, at this point, I started to panic because I wasn't quite sure what type of grade they're talking about. Are they talking about tall grade, fat grade, vanilla grade, or chocolate grade? Let's look at my typical example here, my favorite example in China. I always wonder whether the owners of this building could ever decide on which type of grade do they want for the project. Do they want an American grade or a China grade? Or perhaps they couldn't decide in the end, they put the two grades together into one building. Isn't this wonderful? A masterpiece in architecture? That's why I look for clues, trying to understand the real reason and drivers behind people's requests. And I say it's my role as the architect to prevent something like this from ever happening. So you're going to ask me, how often does it happen? In my 30 years, 100%. That's why I became a detective, trying to ask intelligent questions, to draw out intelligent answers and potential for my projects, patiently finding all the clues laid on a table, like a crime scene. Finding the truth to resolve mysteries of what people really want. Once I found it and expressed it, in my experience, if I did that, magic happens. Time after time, we went beyond expectation. And this skill, thinking like a detective, is very essential for my work. But it wasn't taught in universities or architect schools or anywhere. I kind of learned on the job, figuring out what great really meant and how many versions of greats there are. So if you also feel the same challenge I face all the time, perhaps by listening to my talk today and use some of my skill, you can also unlock your potential in either your professional or personal experience. Now let me share my secrets, which I haven't shared with my friends here actually today before. How you would find clues to create something which is way beyond expectation. I always start with engagement. Small talk. Trying to connect. You listen, empathize. Once you've got all the clues together, you use perception to look at possible options and solutions. And when you feel confident enough, you apply intuition to go beyond expectation. Once you've got a grand vision, use conviction and belief to achieve your goals. Now, in my 30 years, when I apply these 4 steps, I'll always achieve epic results. Let's look at first example today. Do you think this looks great? I do. I did it. Thank you. And you might think, what could this be? So a pair of homeowners from Hong Kong came to me one day and said, look, my children's grown up, they've got their own family. I want to demolish my existing house and create a new home for ourselves. Wonderful. So what do you think we do? Do we actually look at a catalog of options from magazines? No. In the first meeting, we went for sushi in the sushi restaurant owned by the homeowners. This is usually how the process starts. Small talk, over dinner, a cup of coffee, trying to find the right clues. I started to engage them by listening and gain trust. Now, some clues are fairly obvious. I realized they're into fine food and wine, perhaps like to entertain. So I asked them, do you have big parties? And the homeowner said, oh, yes, we do. Can you give us a large entertainment dining area, please? Of course. But what about your daily dining? Oh, no, something intimate, informal, small, please. Got it. But some clues are less obvious. I knew I had to do something imaginative. But what? No idea. So it wasn't until the next sushi dinner, luckily I like sushi a lot, perks of the trade, I guess, I went to the lobby of the homeowner's restaurant, where they also own an office as well, and then saw this great piece of sculpture in the lobby. And it's by one of my favorite artists. I said, wow, this is wonderful. And then he turned to me and said, well, yes, because my family is really into art, and we've been collecting for years. In fact, we're running out of space to display them. So they are passionate about art, like me. So I said, perhaps you want to bring some of these pieces back to your new home. Now, it is at that moment I found the most important clue for the whole entire project. He turned to me and said, can you find a home for my art? Home for art. That clue absolutely changed my perception for my entire project from then on. At that moment, I thought maybe I should create some sort of home museum. But I suddenly realized I could have done more. Apart from being a home for art, I can make the home as a piece of art. That would be fun. Fantastic. That means I can do anything I want. I can be the artist. And I want to create something which is about Hong Kong, because it's located in Hong Kong. If you've been to Hong Kong before, and if you haven't been, I can tell you right now, Hong Kong is nothing but a piece of rock. Hong Kong is the most cosmopolitan city in the world. If you take away all the glitz, all the super high-rises, it's a piece of rock. And this lithograph, done in 1851, is the first impression of the first European settlers into Hong Kong. And all they saw was water and rock. And this became the intuitive driver for my project, to drive the concept. And the idea of home as art was never their request. They never expected the home could be turned into the piece of sculpture. Now, I don't have the same experience, but whenever you had a great idea in your life, really fantastic, and you really believe in it, and you put a lot of hard work in it, day and night, you start to own it. It becomes your kind of baby, right? But there's always come to a point you have to present it, to convince somebody that this is the right thing to do. And I did that. Elaborate presentation, the reasons, the logic, the intuition I had, the vision I had, and presented to the homeowner. And then he went silent. I waited, and waited. And then I began to think maybe I haven't done something great enough, or he thinks I'm completely crazy. But I have done my homework, you see. I believe that I've done my research. I've got the right concept. And do you get the same feeling? I know sometimes when you believe it so much, your head starts to subconsciously nod because you think you're doing the right thing. And he can see that. And next time when you're in a presentation for something important, you believe in it, try nodding. It's the art of persuasion. It does work. In the end, he looked up to me and said, do what you believe.
加油。
It was my body language, my belief and my confidence that sway his opinion. That's the power of conviction. So together, me and the homeowners did create a home for art. But it was the unspoken clue about home as art that became the ultimate statement to represent the true family value of this family. A design that became epic. Now let's look at another example, applying my principles to a great company in China that everyone knows. Sina, or Xinglong, is going to have the regional headquarters built in Beijing. And you know Sina and Weibo is perhaps one of the largest web-based companies in the world and in China. And the brief or the requirement from them was very simple. Office, conference, facilities, staff canteen. But what were the real issues? What do they really want? We started to engage again. Went there, talked to them, small talk over a cup of coffee, asked them why they needed a new headquarters. The management came back and said, well, you know, like most China company, we grew very fast, dramatic growth. Very soon, all our office facilities are outgrown. We have dozens of little satellite offices around Beijing and the region. And our staff can't engage with one another. Well, that's important. I perceive that they really need somewhere they can expand and also let the staff work together, learn from each other, share the experience. But the major clue didn't come from them. It came from the CEO himself in a private meeting I had with him. And now, being a detective, you always have to ask very direct questions. Simple is good. So I asked him, well, what is your real expectation for this project? And then he turned to me and said, please don't build me a palace. Well, I was as surprised as everyone else in the room, including his own team. So what he meant was his staff environment weighs way over consideration for glorifying the top executives. So staff first, nothing else. So from then on, I was able to work out my solutions. My perception solution is simple. It's for the staff. So I created beautiful courtyards, like the ones in Beijing for over 2,000 years. This gives beautiful environment, great light and ventilation to the offices. That's great for the staff. The staff canteen became the new social hub to share experience and engage with one another, sharing experience. That the offices are comfortable, bright, airy, great air quality, and fun to work in. But that doesn't tell me how the building should look like. So I go back to my intuition, looking into the business of Sina. And that showed me that as a web-based company, it's a platform to share knowledge and information that is limitless. Therefore, I applied this infinity loop into the organization and architecture of my building. From the outside, the continuous lines that create a very distinctive form that is typically Sina. And then the final touch in the interior, where I had another one of those quiet moments. As we were discussing how to insert the soul into a building. So do you think a building needs a soul? Of course it does. If you look at the home, the soul of the home just now was about the passion of art. But in the case of Sina, it was their logo, the eye of Sina. by proposing a mega LED screen that's constantly displaying the latest information from Sina in the main hall and the main atrium. This then becomes the ultimate statement to reflect the true vision of what Sina is about. That the eye of Sina is the window to the world, a platform to connect China to the globe. An idea that was truly out of their expectation, we got the nod of approval. So you've seen two examples why I became an idea detective. Because people don't know what they want or how to express it. But through my journey to discover all the clues, I made a profound discovery. That there's always one piece of clue that stands out amongst all the clues. You have to find that single piece that link all the elements together to give sense and meaning to the project. In the case of Sina, it was what they did not want that was the key. No palace. For the house, it was what they did want. Bring art home. So in life, whenever you're stuck, or whenever you feel that you're not sure what people expect of you, whenever you want to do a piece of work that is going to be extraordinary, or do a business plan that's going to be outstanding, there's an answer. The clues is in front of you. In my experience, finding those unspoken clues that drive requests can unleash unimaginable potential to achieve epic success. Today, you've learned my 4 steps to be an idea detective. Engagement, small talk is a good friend. Perception, to see what people might ignore. Intuition, to go beyond expectation. Conviction, persuade and deliver with belief. Now, are you ready to be an idea detective? Do you want to find the clues that can unlock your potential to change your life, work, and relationship? Are you aware of the clues that your friends and family members, your colleagues, your clients are leaving you right now? Do you understand what their needs are, what their aspiration, what they hope for, and this is the desire? Can you see what they see? Can you feel what they feel? Can you respond in a way that is beyond their expectation? Can you imagine the impact?